7 signs you hold the very rare vibration even demons fear to touch. There's a mystery most people will never understand, or a vibration so rare, so ancient, and so pure that even the darkest forces, the ones that feed off fear, chaos, illusion, won't come near it. Not because it fights them, not because it tries to protect itself, but because it simply cannot be touched. And that vibration is not loud. It's not flashy or performative. You might not even know you carry it. But the moment you walk into a room, it shifts the entire energetic temperature, but the air becomes still. The noise fades, and the masks begin to fall. Because this vibration doesn't demand attention, it commands reality. It is unspoken sovereignty. And if you hold it, you already know your life has never been normal. You were never allowed to be, because this frequency does not belong to the many. It belongs to the few. Now let me be clear, this is not about ego. This is not about being better or special. If anything, those who carry this vibration have often gone through the deepest levels of spiritual agony, isolation, and internal collapse. Because this vibration is not given freely. It is earned through lifetimes of remembering, and through death after death of identity, and through walking into the very places others run from. And now, in this lifetime, you are starting to feel it again. That sense that something in you is different. Not in a way that separates you from others, but in a way that separates illusions from truth. It's not that you want to be chosen. It's that you've never been able to forget who you truly are, even when you tried.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
I want to take you on a journey, not one filled with flashy graphics or surface-level spirituality. This is a journey into the 7 most undeniable signs that you hold the vibration even demons fear to touch. But these signs are not always beautiful. Some are painful, some are confusing. But all of them carry a frequency that, when activated fully, makes you spiritually untouchable. I'll walk you through them across 4 parts. And I promise by the end, you won't just understand this vibration. You'll embody it. Let's begin with the first sign. You've always felt like you didn't belong to this world, not in a poetic way, but in a cellular one. You've walked through life like a visitor in a strange land. Even as a child, you sensed things others didn't. You saw through people's words. You felt energy shifts before anyone else. You knew when someone was lying, even if they were smiling. You couldn't explain it. No one taught you, but you knew. And because of that knowing, you were often isolated emotionally, mentally, even physically. That's not a coincidence. That's the first marker of this rare vibration. It separates you so it can activate you. The universe removes you from the noise so you can hear the signal. And though it may have felt like abandonment, it was actually initiation. The second sign, you've experienced intense spiritual interference throughout your life. Night terrors, sleep paralysis, shadow figures, sudden anxiety that seems to come from nowhere. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signs that your vibration is disruptive to lower realms. You don't attract darkness because you're vulnerable, you attract darkness because you're a threat. Your energy field emits a frequency that scrambles the signals of entities that live off fear. And so they test you. They try to confuse you, to exhaust you, to wear you down. But here's the secret: they can't enter you. They can only distract. They can only provoke. Because the vibration you carry is encoded with a frequency they cannot mimic authentic sovereignty. The third sign: your presence activates people without you saying a word. You've had people tell you, "I don't know what it is about you, but something feels different." Or maybe you've noticed how people get uncomfortable around you, even if you're being kind. That's because your vibration acts as a mirror. It reflects truth, and most people aren't ready to see themselves. You don't have to say anything, you just are. And that awareness is disruptive to any energetic falsehoods people are still clinging to. You might think you're being quiet, humble, or even invisible, but your field is doing the work. And trust me, everything that doesn't resonate with truth feels like a pressure chamber. The fourth sign: you've been through ego death not once, but over and over again. Just when you think you've arrived, life strips you again. Just when you think you've healed, another layer is revealed. This isn't because you're behind. It's because your soul chose to master total transparency. You've signed the contract that says, "I will carry nothing false into the next era of human evolution." And because of that, the universe is ruthless with you. Not because it hates you, but because it trusts you. It trusts you to hold the vibration that others will one day remember through your example. The fifth sign: you are naturally immune to manipulation, even if you once doubted yourself. People have tried to control you, twist your truth, guilt you into submission, but something in you always snaps back. Maybe you went through years of gaslighting. Maybe you lost everything because you refused to betray your knowing. But that's the point. You can't be owned, not by people, not by systems, not by energies. Your vibration is too sovereign to be dominated. And even when you fall into illusions, something ancient within you always pulls you back. That something is your internal compass, a spiritual firewall that keeps your soul aligned with its original blueprint. The sixth sign: you receive messages from dimensions others can't access. Not always in dramatic ways. Sometimes it's just a gut feeling that turns out to be deadened, or a dream that reveals something before it happens. You don't brag about it. You don't even always understand it. But it's there, and it's been with you since the beginning. This is because your vibration exists between realms. You are a bridge, a transmitter. And those who hold this rare frequency often act as gatekeepers between timelines. You don't just see the future, you feel the shape it wants to take. The seventh and most profound sign: your vibration repels parasitic energy. There are people, entities, and energies that feed on the unconscious. They thrive in drama, division, and distraction. But when they come near you, they feel something they can't digest: clarity. That's what they fear. Clarity. You are a walking disruption to distortion. Not because you fight it, but because you exist beyond it. And so I ask you now, if you were truly untouchable, truly sovereign, truly walking in this vibration, what kind of life would you create from that place? What if you stopped hiding your frequency and started transmitting it fully, not to prove anything, but because the world is starving for it? The frequency that forbids possession, why nothing can attach to you once you awaken it. But there is a frequency that does not need to defend itself. It doesn't need to cast out demons, chant mantras all night, or surround itself with white light every 5 minutes. Because this frequency is not about protection, it's about possession being impossible. And that's the level you start reaching when you awaken the rare vibration most people never even realize exists. The reason lower entities, parasitic energies, and manipulative forces fear you is because your soul starts to emit something they cannot enter. Not won't, can't. They are coded to attach to distortion, to fear, to illusion. But when your vibration becomes pure coherence, when your inner and outer worlds align with truth, there's simply no doorway to enter. You stop being a match for manipulation. Not because you built walls, but because you become transparent. Most people think possession is about something external taking over, but a demon, a dark energy, a toxic person. But here's the truth you only learn once you've walked far enough. Possession happens wherever you are unconscious, wherever you hide, wherever you lie to yourself. It's not about evil, it's about vacancy. And what your rare vibration does is fill you completely. There are no vacancies left for distortion to cling to. You become full presence. You stop leaking energy, and you stop absorbing what doesn't belong to you. I want you to think about that for a moment. How much of your life has been shaped by things that weren't even you? All thoughts you inherited, beliefs that were passed down, energies you absorbed, expectations thrown at you until you confused them with your own. That's how possession works, not like the movies, but like slow erosion. Bit by bit, your true essence gets buried under layers of programming. And what this vibration does is burn through all of it. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for the right time. It simply reveals. And that revelation, though painful, is what sets you free. When you start living in this awakened frequency, something radical happens. Your energy becomes non-reactive. You stop being food for the invisible. You stop being bait for chaos. You stop being a match for anything that needs your fear to survive. That's why demons don't just leave you alone, they avoid you. Because your very presence reminds them of what they can never become, free. They are bound to distortion. You, once awakened, are bound only to truth. But let me say this clearly, awakening this frequency is not a one-time event. It's not a weekend retreat. It's a lifestyle of radical clarity. It requires you to choose presence over performance, truth over comfort, alignment over approval, every single day. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it is unchallengeable, and that's what makes it so powerful. Have you ever walked into a room and felt everything shift without even speaking? That wasn't charisma. That was frequency. Your energy entered before your words did. And the reason people either draw toward you or flee from you is because they are reacting to what's real. Your vibration exposes everything false, not through judgment, but through resonance. You don't need to say, "I see you." They feel seen. You don't need to say, "That's a lie." The lie collapses in your silence. You don't need to fight darkness. You just need to stop feeding it. And this is where your rare vibration becomes untouchable. Because once you stop feeding distortion through self-betrayal, through unconscious habits, through playing small, you become invisible to the frequencies that once haunted you. You don't need to protect yourself from them. You simply don't resonate with them anymore. Ask yourself this: if you stopped feeding everything that drains you, every thought, every habit, every person, what would be left. That's your real vibration. That's the untouched, untamed, uncorrupted version of you that the world is not ready for, but you are. The most powerful people on this planet are not the loudest. They are the ones who have nothing left to prove, nothing left to hide, nothing left to lose. Their inner world is so coherent, so whole, that even chaos cannot penetrate it. And you can feel them when they walk by. It's not their looks, it's not their voice, it's their field, their frequency. And here's the wild truth: you were born to carry that. You've always known it, even when you lost yourself in trauma, even when you forgot your own name, even when you thought you were broken. You knew. Because the vibration was never given to you by this world, it came with you. And now, the only thing left to do is remember it. This is the frequency that forbids possession, not because it's defensive, but because it's whole. You're not supposed to be liked, you're supposed to be felt. The spiritual science of unshakable presence. At some point in your spiritual evolution, you realize that being liked is a trap. A subtle, seductive one. Because somewhere deep in the psyche, especially if you've carried trauma, rejection, or abandonment, you associate being liked with being safe. You believe that if they approve of you, they won't hurt you. That if they smile when you walk in, you must be aligned. But this illusion crumbles the moment your vibration begins to rise. Because as your frequency sharpens, as you peel back every layer of false self, you become something the ego cannot comprehend, a being who no longer fits into anyone's expectation. And that's when the world stops liking you in the way it used to. But here's the secret: your purpose was never to be liked. It was to be felt. Felt deeply. Felt unmistakably. Felt in the bones of those who have forgotten themselves. You weren't born to keep people comfortable. You were born to remind them, and reminders aren't always pleasant. Sometimes they sting. Sometimes they crack open defenses. Sometimes they shatter illusions that someone has spent their whole life protecting. And when you walk in with the frequency of truth, they feel it before you speak. That's why some people react to you with awe and others with resistance. It has nothing to do with your personality. It's your presence. And presence doesn't ask for permission. True presence is unshakable. It doesn't matter if people misunderstand you, project onto you, or even reject you. Because when you embody the vibration that even demons fear, you don't need validation, you radiate inevitability. You become a force, not a persona, and that force causes people to either wake up or walk away. Both are sacred, both are necessary. You don't chase, you don't beg, you transmit. And that transmission is what makes you unforgettable. You see, there's a spiritual science to presence. It isn't just some poetic idea. It's measurable in the quantum field. When your internal world is coherent, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned with truth, you create a frequency field that literally reorganizes the space around you. People feel calmer, more alert, or more triggered not because you're doing anything, but because your field is doing it for you. This is why ancient masters could silence an entire village with a single gaze. Why mystics could walk through chaos untouched. They weren't trying to be liked. They were embodying presence. They were felt. And yet, so many of us still shrink when others don't approve. We contort ourselves to avoid being seen as too much. We water down our frequency to make others comfortable. But what if I told you that every time you do that, you're dimming the exact light you came here to shine? What if your too muchness is precisely what someone else needs to break free? What if your full, raw, unapologetic presence is the medicine? Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. This is not a call to arrogance. It's a call to authenticity. When you stop performing, when you stop chasing approval, when you stop editing your light, you become a living initiation for everyone you meet. They either rise to meet your frequency or they fall away. And both outcomes are divine. Because your presence doesn't just show them who you are, it shows them who they are. And that reflection is the most powerful mirror they will ever face. So let me ask you something that only the brave can answer. Who would you be if no one ever approved of you again? Would you still walk in truth? Would you still speak your knowing? Would you still radiate presence, even if it made you the most misunderstood person in the room? Because that is what true spiritual mastery demands. Not comfort, not community, but clarity. And clarity is magnetic, not in the way that attracts crowds, but in the way that shifts timelines. You don't need 1 million followers to change the world. You need a clear field. One person fully aligned, fully awake, fully present can collapse entire structures just by existing. And if you're reading this, it's because you are that person, or you're becoming them. The world doesn't need more likable people. It needs more activated ones. People who are not afraid to be misunderstood. People who are willing to be felt, even if it shakes others to their core. People who stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Did I transmit truth?" That's the shift. That's the revolution. That's the vibration that cannot be possessed, manipulated, or diluted. So the next time you walk into a room and feel the tension, the silence, the stares, don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't perform. Just be. Be the presence that doesn't flinch. Be the vibration that doesn't need explanation. Be the one who came to remind the world of itself. You're not supposed to be liked. You're supposed to be felt. The rare ones are always watched. Why the spirit realm tracks every move you make. There's a truth that most won't understand until they've walked through fire, until they've stood in the silence of their own soul with no map, no guide, nothing but the echo of something ancient calling them back. That truth is this: once you begin to awaken the rare vibration, the one even demons fear to touch, you are no longer just living a human life. You are being watched, not in a paranoid way, not in fear, but in sacred observation. The spirit realm, the unseen world that exists behind this veil, is always aware of the rare ones. Because your presence on this earth is not random. It is not accidental. It is a signal. A living frequency that carries codes, keys, and karmic instructions far beyond what your conscious mind can grasp. When you carry this vibration, you are not just walking through the world, you are transmitting through it. Every thought, every action, every word becomes an offering, a ripple into the unseen. Ancestors watch you. Being guides walk beside you. Entities both light and dark feel your movement. Because your energy shifts realms, not just rooms. The higher forces of light see you as a beacon. A vessel who volunteered to come to a planet drowning in distortion and carry the remembrance of what is true. And the darker forces. They watch too. Not because they can touch you, but because they fear what your activation unleashes. You see, when a rare soul awakens, it's not just personal. It's planetary. Your frequency begins to disrupt ancient systems of control, of fear-based programs, collective illusions. You don't even have to try. It happens simply because you exist in a state of coherence. And coherence is dangerous to structures built on chaos. So yes, you're watched, not because you're under attack, but because your presence marks a point of cosmic interest. You are a variable that cannot be predicted. You are a force that cannot be controlled. And that makes you both a target and a miracle. So how do you live with that awareness? How do you walk through this world knowing every moment is being felt in realms beyond time? You do it by choosing alignment as a lifestyle. You stop asking, "What will they think?" and start asking, "What does my soul require?" You stop negotiating with your intuition. You stop delaying your knowing. You move as if your integrity is being documented in divine memory because it is. You speak like your words are seeds being planted in multiple dimensions because they are. You act like your energy is being read by beings who understand frequency better than form because it is. This is spiritual maturity, not chasing signs, not waiting for miracles, but becoming the miracle through embodied presence. You don't need to prove yourself to the spirit realm. They already know who you are. They've always known. The question is, do you know? And are you willing to live like someone who remembers? There is no off-season for the awakened. There is no back to normal. Once you've touched that vibration, once you've looked into the eyes of your own soul and refused to flinch, there is no going back. And that's why your life may feel more intense, or why every choice feels heavier. Why you can't tolerate anything that once felt fine. You're not being punished. You're being refined. Every moment is an invitation to sharpen your field, to anchor your frequency, to walk as the one who does not forget. And yes, that means sometimes you'll feel alone. Sometimes you'll wonder if anyone sees you. But I promise you this, the spirit realm sees everything. Your devotion, your discipline, your silent prayers, your victories no one clapped for, your heartbreaks you transmuted into light. It's all witnessed, not with judgment, but with reverence. Because you're not here to be ordinary. You're here to be legendary, not through fame, but through frequency. So the next time you feel unseen, remember, that's just on the surface. In the unseen, you are surrounded, protected, honored, watched like a star returning to its rightful place in the sky. And every step you take, every truth you speak ripples into galaxies you've long since forgotten, but are now beginning to remember. You are the rare one. And the spirit realm is watching. Because they know. Because they know. You're the one who cannot be touched.